Let's jump right into this explainer. Look, for the executives and strategists tuning in, we know our current global supply chains are showing some pretty massive fragility right now. Finding scalable, immediate solutions to navigate this energy crisis, it's absolutely crucial. So today, we're going to break down how liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG, acts as this critical bridge to a net zero future. Plus, we're going to uncover some immediate investment and growth opportunities over in the Nepal vehicle market.
But to really set the stage here, we've got to address the elephant in the room. Operational continuity is simply non-negotiable. So how do we actually stabilize our transportation fleets and industrial supply chains when natural gas is facing this huge global shortage? Because of ongoing geopolitical conflicts, natural gas has essentially flipped overnight from an abundant commodity into a really expensive, scarce resource. This kind of volatility absolutely exposes the deep vulnerabilities in our conventional energy systems. We need a highly adaptable alternative, and we need it fast.
So, here is our strategic roadmap for today. We'll analyze the global energy crisis, map out LPG's role as a transition fuel, quantify its sustainability, and then zoom right in on the Nepal vehicle market to uncover specific strategic opportunities.
Starting with Section 1, the global energy crisis, focusing on volatility and vulnerability.
The core vulnerability here really comes down to infrastructure. Natural gas relies on this incredibly rigid, fragile pipeline system. Disrupt the pipe and your whole supply chain halts. Not to mention, liquefying it is technically difficult and super expensive. LPG, on the other hand, is completely modular. Its easy condensation means it can be supplied and stored locally, right in its liquid state. This localized, decoupled storage model drastically cuts down on bottleneck risks, making it literally the ultimate resilient backup fuel when things go sideways.
Moving on to Section 2, LPG as a transition fuel, the essential bridge.
The evolutionary arc of fuel is actually pretty clear, right? From firewood to coal to oil. But let's be real, jumping straight to absolute carbon neutrality just isn't globally scalable yet, especially in developing economies. Take Nepal, for instance. They have a really ambitious target to hit net zero by 2045. But to actually achieve that, they need a pragmatic intermediary step. LPG fits perfectly into this transition slot. It's a mass-produced, easily deployable stepping stone that gives immediate relief while the renewable infrastructure has time to catch up.
And the technical data from the Center for Chemical Research and Innovation totally backs this up. When you benchmark it against incumbents, LPG delivers a highly competitive calorific value of 46 to 50 megajoules per kilogram. To put that into perspective, that guarantees the necessary power output and combustion efficiency for heavy commercial fleets, but it does it with a drastically cleaner emissions profile and far less long-term engine wear. It's a win-win.
Which brings us to Section 3, Sustainability and Carbon Footprint, a data-driven advantage.
When you look at the numbers, the environmental advantage is huge. LPG's end-use emissions barely even exceed natural gas, and they drastically outperform both petrol and diesel. But here's what's really surprising. Consider the baseline for electric vehicles. If an EV is pulling power from a coal-heavy grid, its upstream emissions are massive. So in regions that don't have a 100% green grid yet, LPG actually provides a much more immediate, reliable reduction in overall carbon intensity.
And beyond just CO2, the localized ESG benefits are profound. Compared to diesel, LPG emits just a fraction of nitrogen and sulfur oxides and has negligible black carbon, which is absolutely vital for urban air quality. Plus, LPG completely avoids the catastrophic fugitive methane leaks that plague natural gas infrastructure. On a local level, it even actively mitigates deforestation by replacing firewood as a primary fuel source.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, Nepal Vehicle Market Outlook, a market primed for growth.
Nepal's government is actively de-risking this transition to hit that 2045 target. Market drivers right now include the Green Sticker program, which incentivizes cleaner vehicles, along with direct financial subsidies for LPG conversion kits and tax breaks for new alternative fuel vehicles. This policy framework is aggressively lowering the upfront capital expenditures for consumers and fleet operators alike.
And we're seeing this policy push rapidly accelerate adoption across the sector. Major players are totally capitalizing on this. Maruti Suzuki is dominating the passenger side with affordable CNG and LPG models, while distributors like Suprati Trading are aggressively converting Tata Motors' commercial fleets. Because for these operators, mitigating rising diesel costs with LPG isn't just a good PR move anymore, it's a margin-saving operational necessity.
However, to be objective, we do need to assess the market friction. Rapid nationwide adoption is currently facing two main headwinds. First, the initial cost of retrofitting vehicles is still a deterrent for some, even with those government subsidies. Second, and honestly the most critical hurdle, is that the lack of dense refueling infrastructure is creating persistent range anxiety. And that is a significant bottleneck for widespread consumer buy-in.
Now for our final piece, Section 5, Strategic Market Opportunities, Positioning for the Shift.
For the strategists tuning in, here is your immediate action plan to stay competitive. Number 1, repurpose your existing LPG supply chains. If you're already a distributor, your logistics network is your single greatest asset. Leverage it to supply the auto sector. Number 2, expand into vehicle conversion tech. The demand for aftermarket kits from reliable brands is absolutely surging. And number 3, partner in hybrid energy and infrastructure. Invest in building out those much-needed refueling stations, or even team up with renewable grid developers to use LPG as a reliable backup power source for EV charging networks.
So, the core takeaway from the CCRI research is pretty clear-cut. We need to generate a technically robust, policy-relevant framework that positions LPG as a transitional yet incredibly scalable solution for energy diversification. It's time we stop viewing LPG just as a domestic cooking utility and start recognizing it for what it is, a highly scalable, strategic asset for national energy security and fleet stabilization. As the global energy map redrafts itself around geopolitical tension and urgent climate imperatives, a critical question remains. How is your portfolio positioned to bridge this gap? Are you capitalizing on the aggressive policies driving markets like Nepal, or are you clinging to vulnerable legacy fossil fuel supply chains? It is time to leverage the transition. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.